Do you see this shit? This is what inspired me to watch the movie Bloodfest. Now, despite what this says, this movie was not available for digital download on August 31st. In fact, this movie wasn't available for digital download for most of the first week of September. Hence, why it's here. But you can watch it now. You can even rent it on YouTube. For copyright reasons, I will not be using clips from the film. Just a lot of still images. And we'll see how that works out. Alright? So, this is Bloodfest. There is no short review for this film. There is so much about this movie that needs to be dissected and broken down that I cannot compact it into the small things that I've done. So I'm just going to go through the movie and explain what happened at Bloodfest. So we're going to start at the beginning. Obviously, it starts with a kid watching a horror movie with his mom. And it's kind of the moral of the thing, you know. We watch horror movies because they're fun and they're not real and all of that. It's fine. And then she's killed by a guy in a red mask. I think it's just supposed to be a random killer. I don't think it's like a reference to anything. At least I hope not, because I don't recognize it. If you recognize who this is, feel free to let me know. But I think it's just supposed to be a guy in a random red mask. So he kills the mom, and it turns out he's one of the dad's patients. The dad is a psychiatrist. He comes downstairs, shoots him with a gun, and we jump ahead to the kid being, looks like 16, 17, and he still loves horror movies. He doesn't blame them for what happened to his mom. He's not, like, angry at them or anything. He just, he still loves horror movies, and he keeps watching them. It's a nice little subversion from what usually happens. So we go through his normal morning. He goes downstairs, talks to his sister, who's... I don't remember if they say her name, because I got kind of hung up on the fact that they do movie exposition talking in this scene. In that he calls her sis, she calls her bro, or she calls him bro. It's very unnatural, kind of stilted conversation. But they talk about Bloodfest and how it's supposed to suck, but he's optimistic. It's a really throwaway conversation to just introduce his character. He then is confronted by his dad. Now, his dad actually does hate Bloodfest and does blame it for the person who killed his wife, which is understandable to a degree. And he, cuts up the son's ticket, says, "You're not allowed to go to Bloodfest." Enter the actress, who is not really the main character's friend. She's just someone he knows, but she is in a local horror movie, which means she has access to Bloodfest. So he gives her a call and literally begs for her to get him into Bloodfest, which she does, along with his two friends. One is the obvious, fat virgin. By his own admission, his whole goal for Bloodfest is to get laid, who's really into video games and technology, just the overweight nerdy friend. And his cool female friend who loves horror movies like he does and works the same job. And I'm sure there won't be any secret, feelings or anything that comes up. So, they go to Bloodfest. And to be honest, Bloodfest looks fucking awesome. It's a whole festival where they rented out what's basically, I think they say 6 miles of land or 6 acres or some shit. And they basically converted it into a horror-themed Disney World where each segment is its own little genre of film, right? So next they introduce the director. He's the douchey guy who's in every horror movie. He's sleeping with the actress. He doesn't really like horror movies. This is just his step into becoming a real director. He's your generic asshole. He's a bad guy. It also establishes the different places that they will feature in this film, specifically Hodderton High School, Tortureville, and they draw very specific attention to Clowntown. Krill goes out of his way to mention that he is terrified of clowns. So it's kind of just a small thing that they set up to pay off with later. But these are the three main ones. The vampire one, much like this little poster, the vampire one is kind of involved, but not really. So, they've established that Krill's main goal is to get laid at Horrorfest. And they've given him an objective pretty early on. Let's see where that side story goes. Meanwhile, the main character, his name is Dax, by the way, kind of glossed over that. He meets one of his favorite horror actors. He plays a guy called the Arborist, like a gardener, who kills kids at a high school because his dad died at the high school. It's a fun kind of dumb thing. They kind of go into it really deep, and it makes me want to watch the movie. And I'm upset that it's not a real movie. But the guy doesn't like being known for this horror character. He doesn't even like horror movies. But it's what he did, so he shows up to I don't know why he shows up to these festivals if he doesn't like them, but here he is, so whatever. We're then introduced to, I guess, like the ringmaster, the leader of the show. He's your normal kind of like, ta-da, very circus ringleader kind of guy. He's very into horror movies. He does a big monologue about how horror is dead and it used to be this forbidden kind of dark film, and it really wasn't. It never was. Outside of like gore films, but in that vein, you know, the Human Centipede exists. There's a lot of those kinds of movies. He doesn't know what he's talking about, but he says it with authority, so it sounds correct. It's a dumb kind of thing. But then he introduces this person. This is the killer of Bloodfest. He just kind of wanders around killing people at random. Bop, bop. This is clearly the same guy that killed his mom. I don't mean like physically the same guy. It's the mask and the hood and everything, which makes you believe that this is supposed to be a character like from the series, but there's no basis for it. He's just there. And I don't know who or what he's supposed to be. Oh, and I guess the story with Krill and that girl is done. Alright, moving on. So the guy explains that the whole point of Bloodfest is that he's making his own horror movie. His own, I spit on your grave, oh, people will wonder if this was real or not, kind of horror movies. And he gives the order for the people to kill. And that leads to these pigmen with chainsaws who begin just randomly murdering people in the crowd. And it's here that the movie kind of gets weird, because some of the kills look really good, but there are some that it's kind of hard to explain with a still picture, because this still picture looks kind of good, but in motion there's something that just seems over the top and kind of campy about it, which I guess is what it's going for, because that's what the whole movie is. But it's weird. It's a weird tonal shift because they're trying to play the scene as a horror scene. But the main character escapes into an underground bunker where there's no signal, and there's no signal in all of Bloodfest. But the girl has a security pass that can open the back door, and that will allow them to escape. But, the back door is on the opposite side of Bloodfest, and they'll have to cross through several of the most popular horror genres to get to it. Who could have seen that coming? Meanwhile, we're introduced to the staff of Bloodfest. They don't really contribute a lot. They're just kind of there. There's a guy who's editing the movie together as people are dying. There's a black guy who's in charge of maintenance, and an Asian girl who's just kind of a bitch. It doesn't matter. Moving on. So the douchebag director takes the security pass without telling anyone, in a decision that I'm sure will go super well to keep it quote-unquote safe. And he's immediately killed by zombies after talking mad shit about the fake zombie set or area. The rest of the Scooby Gang escapes into a house where the girl laments the death of the director, but never mentions that he took the security pass that they need to escape. And Dax and Sam decide to fight the zombies. The zombies are actually kind of neat in that they are covered in like electrodes that force their body to move, which are controlled by a hub of gamers who don't know that they're killing people. They think they're playing a game. I don't know why. Maybe it'll come back later, but it's a weird thing. So they end up going into the woods in between all the zombies who are super slow, and they find the signal box. They destroy it. Zombies are temporarily done. I say temporarily because there's a guy whose whole job is to fix these things. Once they get back into the building, they kind of argue over what their next move is and all of that. It's your generic kind of, we all need to work together even if we don't all agree with what we're doing kind of scene. Now, I want to establish that so far, this movie's actually pretty good. I don't want to sound like I think this movie's bad, because I don't. It's a little generic, honestly, but it's good. The characters are actually funny. Hearing them interact is good. Even the guy who hates being a horror actor, the douche guy, plays a douche very well. Their back and forth works. It's all very fun to watch. It's not scary, but I don't think this is supposed to be a scary movie. I think this is supposed to be almost a comedy version of the movie Scream. It's very meta, but it still tries to be good at what it is. And so far, batting 1,000. Good job, Rooster Teeth. Let's keep going. This guy begins the stupidest monologue I've ever... So his argument is basically the same as the Ludovico technique from A Clockwork Orange. He took a bunch of people who are mentally ill and forced them to watch one horror movie over and over and over and over and over again until they believed they were the killer from that horror movie. 'Cause that's how that works. It's dumb. That's not how the human mind works. That person would have to be absurdly mentally ill for that kind of implementation to take root like that. You know what I mean? But whatever. It's a throwaway explanation for why the killers are here. It's fine. Whatever. This leads into the kid and the actor actually having a nice little heart-to-heart about the arborist and why he loves horror movies. It also leads into the actor explaining the backstory of, like, I never wanted to be a serial killer, but this was like a big acting job. And they were like, do you want to wear a mask? And he was like, no, I want to be big. I want to be huge. I want people to know it's me in there, you know? And that forced him to be cast as the arborist all the time, even though he wanted to do more serious films. This is actually kind of funny because this whole conversation takes place in front of a sign that says, Welcome to Hodderton, which is the name of the town that he haunts in the films. I assume it is also a reference to the man Kane Hodder, who plays Jason in a lot of the Friday the 13th movies, who loved playing Jason. He enjoyed it all the time. He loved to go to conventions as Kane Hodder, or as Jason. Which is it's a nice juxtaposition between the conversation and a nice little tip of the hat to a great horror movie actor. But they're attacked by the new arborist, kind of like the remake arborist, who's bigger and evil, and she's dark, brutal. And they're forced to hide in Hodderton High School, which is where he kills all the kids. In the high school is Zachary Levi playing Zachary Levi. He is just himself, being himself. This is my favorite scene from this film, hands down. He is trying so hard to recount the horror story that has been his night. He's lost friends. He's lost family. There's a girl that he loved that he never got to tell her that he loved her. And he's trying to explain this story to the gang. And this girl just keeps interrupting him because she has a weird fixation on the character Flynn Rider from Tangled. It is one of the best scenes in the film, and Zachary Levi's face is just gold. This scene alone is worth watching the movie for. So, they decide that to defeat the arborist, the new arborist, they're going to have the old arborist pretend to be his dad, because he has a Jason kind of thing, where Jason loved his mom and wasn't very smart, so when a girl dressed as her mom, or as his mom, he thought it was her and started listening to her. So they go over the history of the arborist. Again, it makes it sound like a really good movie, and I'm kind of upset that you can't watch it, but whatever. So he goes out and tries to talk to the new arborist. Meanwhile, Krill, who got separated early on, kind of in a flash of the moment kind of thing, ends up meeting a weird group of Hungarian vampires. They're not really vampires. They mention a disease, which is a real disease, as kind of an excuse for why they're pale and have problems in the sunlight. But they say it also gives you an insatiable thirst for blood, which it doesn't. You can look it up. The movie even tells you to look it up, even though it's wrong. But that is why they're vampires. But she doesn't kill him. She can't kill him, because they need to follow the rules. And one of the rules of horror movies is you cannot kill a virgin, which Krill is. It is the whole thing of his character arc. He is a virgin, and being so has saved his life in this scenario, which is good because the arborist plan doesn't really go well because he can't remember the character's name. So that plan falls apart. They try to escape, and Krill shows up and fucking spikes him with a big wooden stake that's on fire. Like, there's no reason for the stick to be on fire, but it looks so cool when he does it. And the arborist is just a guy. He is not Jason Voorhees, so he dies. This leads to a cool down moment. And cool down moments are important in horror movies because it lets you flesh out the characters, really establish their motivations, all of that. And they use this moment to talk about why he loves horror movies. And he loves horror movies for the same reasons as it's really just a recap of what his mom told him earlier, But the important thing, and spoiler alert, I know that nobody saw this coming, he has a crush on Sam, the girl who works with him. Just mind-blowing with its originality. But we move on. And we move on to Tortureville. Tortureville is where this movie completely falls apart. I had to rewatch this movie to do this review. I am a little bit a little bit altered in order to get through this because fucking Tortureville. So Tortureville is the home of one Mr. Leadfeet. It's that puppet there who looks like a weird mixture of Slappy from Goosebumps and the puppet from Dead Silence. You may remember him from the teaser at the beginning. Mr. Leadfeet will return in Bloodfest. He is the reason I watched this film. Let's see how that pays off. So they go into Tortureville, and it turns out to be suiting its name, torture horror. Specifically Saw. It is a very clear Saw reference. Now, let me hit the pause button and take you back a little bit to this short, Mr. Leadfeet. This is a short featured on Crypt TV. You can watch it right now in its full unedited glory. It is a story of a puppet that is delivered to a man and spooks him by maybe moving sometimes until it causes him to kill his daughter on accident and then himself. If you are confused, like I am, as to how a puppet that accidentally spooked a man into killing his daughter is somehow the same puppet that is Jigsaw from Saw, congratulations, you have joined me in my confusion that is Tortureville. Tortureville is the emblem, the shining bat signal in the sky that, much like Saw, from this point onwards, horror movies suck. This movie from this point onward sucks. And I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to keep drinking while I do it. Fast forward. Let's get back to the fucking movie. Crypt TV ruined my goddamn life. So, here we are, Tortureville, Mr. Leadfeet. He's called that because he's in a wheelchair, I guess. It's kind of offensive. But he's trapped Sam and the ticket taker from the beginning of the park in a weird death trap where, like, it's these two blocks and they're pulling your arms apart so they rip them off, killing you, right? And the only way to free the other person is to reach into the other two boxes and grip it, locking yourself in. One person has to die so the other can live. And the ticket taker tricks Sam into getting stuck for him. It's kind of a neat moment right up until it becomes a bullshit, oh, this is my noble sacrifice moment. But let's cut away to the side. Krill and Ashley are trapped in a bathroom. I will explain why this is the stupidest thing ever in about 2 minutes. But for the moment, they are trapped in a bathroom. And because she is blonde and she is white, and therefore in horror movies, the stupidest, she decides to take a shower. She decides to get naked and take a shower. There's actually a little scene, I put a picture of it right here. It's a reference to Psycho and the blood swirling scene. It's neat. It shows that they watch horror movies. But she begins to have a conversation with Krill about why they're here. Oh, am I shallow for sleeping with people to become an actress? Oh, I don't know. I only came here to sleep with someone. Hey, what if we slept with each other? Yeah, that's literally what that conversation is. It's a flimsy pretense for them to have sex, which you don't see or is even hinted at. It's just, this is it. This is the conversation that leads to them having sex. Which is stupid, because being a virgin literally just saved Krill's life, and she told him so. It wasn't like she decided it and didn't mention it. It is the explicit said reason why he is alive at this exact moment. But whatever. So even though they don't show it, it is 100% said that they fuck in the bathroom. The old arborist decides that he's done being this grumpy old guy who hates horror and all of that. And he sacrifices himself to save Sam. It's actually kind of a nice scene. It's predictable and you see it coming, but it's understandable why he does it. And it's nice. He plays the position well. Meanwhile, the dad is giving an interview about Bloodfest and why it's bad and why horror movies are bad and all of that bullshit. When, my son's at Bloodfest, I have to go. And he rushes off to save the day. It's a meaningless aside to set up something later. Back to the main story. So you remember how I told you Krill and blonde girl were trapped in the bathroom? Here's why. You see this picture? See how that's a pull open door? He tried to push it. That's why they were stuck. He didn't understand that it was a pull open door. A man died because Krill couldn't pull on a door. Fuck. Anyway, Scooby Gang reunites. They tell him that an old man died. They joke about how they didn't have sex in the bathroom. It's dumb. But it establishes, oh hey, look, it's Red. I don't think they give him a real name. I'm just going to call him Red. Remember Red from the beginning? Not of the film, of the Bloodfest thing. He's back. It's been 40 minutes since we've last seen him, but he's here. And I'm sure he's going to cause some mayhem. Let's watch. Oh, no. No, he was immediately stopped by a door. Because the barrels in the room that they escaped to are covered in bombs. Why? I know why. I've seen the movie, but this is their big mystery. Why are the barrels covered in bombs? And Red just fucks off. That was a sense of his contribution for a while. And then it's time. It is time for the payoff. Throughout this entire film, every time they have mentioned getting to the exit, Krill has mentioned clowns. Here is the payoff. After an hour of clowns, here we go. And they look awesome. This one has a giant hammer. There's a gang of them. One of them's pumping fucking ether, like, while he's gonna kill him. It looks awesome. I was so genuinely excited for how this scene was gonna play out. And you know how it plays out? The zombies kill them. There's not even a fight. The zombies just walk in and kill them. That's it. That's the whole thing. They don't hit any of the kids. They don't even really threaten any of the kids. That one that was doing ether like a fucking pimp, he does more ether and then is eaten alive by zombies. That's it. That was it. Oh, the blonde girl kills one with an axe to save Krill, because they fucked in that bathroom. So they're a couple now. She also got the pass back from her zombie boyfriend. That was cool. Good job. Oh, right. Right. She dies. She dies to get the pass back. Well, yes, you went out strong. Blonde girl, I can't remember the name of Their names are irrelevant, honestly. Who cares? But she gets the pass back, dies. Oh, and then they kill the gamers. Remember the gamers that controlled the zombies from an hour ago? They're back, and they're killed instantly with a grenade. You never learn anything about them except that they're generic douchebag gamers. They eat pirate booty and chug Mountain Dew. It's stupid. And they're killed for killing the clowns. So already that's two of the genres that they've dealt with just instantly wiped out with zero effort on the part of the protagonists. Well done, film. Let's move on. So they finally reach the back door, and Krill begins hacking the keycard to let them out. When he runs into Rain, that was the name of the head vampire who let him go, because he was a virgin. And he walks over and he's trying to flaunt that V card again. Oh, except, wait, he fucked that blonde girl in a bathroom. Let's see how this works out for him. Right. Not well. Because, again, he felt in a bathroom that even though being a virgin had just saved his life, this'll work out well. And here we are. Sam gets upset because her friend's dead and stabs her with a wooden stake. Now, the movie actually makes a decent joke in that it doesn't have to be a wooden stake. She's not really a vampire. She's just a woman with a disease. It's actually kind of neat. And it's brutal because Sam stabs her so hard that she's pinned to a truck off the ground. Like, it is in there, man. That chick is strong. But Krill's dead. I don't feel bad. Nobody should feel bad. He made a stupid decision because he's a stupid person. Whatever. Surprise! Red's back. And he's captured someone. He was hired to kill, but he's captured Dax's not girlfriend. But it's okay, because the back door has opened, and you'll never guess who's here to save the day. That's right. It's his dad. His dad has been waiting for a way to get in through the back door in order to save his son. At least, that's what it seems like, until it turns out, uh-oh, Red was his sister. You remember his sister? She had 2 lines an hour and 20 minutes ago. You didn't really meet her. I didn't even know her name in the scene she was in, and I don't know it now. She's Red. But it's not like my mom was killed by a serial killer and now I'm scarred kind of thing. She's just doing it because her dad wants her to. The dad and the daughter are working together. This whole Bloodfest shenanigan was their idea to kill fans of horror movies. Well, technically, it's to make it look like horror movies make people violent and all these people die and they say, oh, the horror movies made them go mad and kill each other. It's very dumb and poorly explained and even more poorly thought out. But the dad's like, just leave. Me and your sister will take care of this. Go on home. You're done for the night. And they try to. They actually do try to leave. But then the stupid security lady, who nobody cares about, locks the door. Which causes Sam to become a giant bitch. Now, I'm not saying this because, she's a strong... Dax's father has just orchestrated the death of hundreds of people. His sister has physically murdered tens of them, assumably. And he feels bad and is afraid of his dad. He's afraid of the man who just organized a genocide. And she tells him, fuck you. You can't be afraid of him. Not after what we've done tonight. Which, by the way, was nothing. They beat the zombies by destroying a box that they just pulled the cords out of. They didn't beat the clowns. They didn't beat Tortureville. They didn't beat anything. They've achieved nothing tonight. And she has the audacity to act like he's fucking Ash from the Evil Dead? No. But her inherent bitchiness inspires him to deliver a monologue that doesn't make any sense. He talks about how movies have horror movies have three kinds of endings. One where one person lives. That's a rare ending, by the way. One where nobody lives. That's slightly more common, but it's really just the ending when the evil wins, which isn't very often in horror films, honestly. And then when she asks, what's the third ending? He says, I don't know, but let's go find out. That was my brave voice. Which doesn't make sense, by the way. There's a lot of other endings. Horror movies end drastically different all the time. Sometimes actually, more often than not, 2 people survive. Sometimes 3. Sometimes a whole group of people survives, but usually it's 2. A man and a woman, but usually 2. But ignoring that, you can't say movies have 3 endings. Here are 2. I don't know what the third one is. Off to adventure. That's like if I said this review has 2 endings. One where I like this movie. I don't know what the other one is. Just keep watching it. You know what the other one is. The other one can literally only be one thing. And also, why would I start a sentence like that if I didn't know what the second one is? I'm sorry. I don't want to get caught up on this one scene. Moving on. So, the dad meets up with the ringleader, and turns out they've been working together. And he tells them that he has a secret technology called the Pulse, which is in every wristband that they needed to get into the Bloodfest. It sends an electro signal down their veins, through their heart, into their brain, that fills them with a murderous rage. And he's going to activate it so that every single person in the park kills each other, so that there are no witnesses to tell the truth about what happened in this park. It's actually not the worst idea. And then Dax and Sam steal a truck to break into the control tower, where they fight creepy religious people, including the nun from The Nun, like the movie The Nun. It looks exactly like the lady who kept appearing in all the jump scare trailers. But they kill her with a truck. It's actually kind of cool. Meanwhile, the repair guy isn't affected by the psycho virus because he's not wearing a wristband because he's maintenance and doesn't need one to get into the park. But it's okay because he's killed by the other girl who worked in the staff room because she did wear a wristband. And then he shoots both of them while they're fighting on the floor. Weird twist, because this movie thinks this is a twist. The dad, who thinks that horror movies make people violent and makes them enjoy killing, he enjoys killing people. He finds it funny, but he hates horror movies. Don't let the obvious hypocrisy of this situation ruin your enjoyment of the film. Moving on. So Dax and Sam start fighting because Sam is wearing the wristband and she gets infected with the rage virus. And he tries that thing where he appeals to her heart. It's like, Sam, I know you're in there, and if you can hear me, I love you. And she responds by projectile vomiting all over his face. And it's this weird black ink that horror movie people vomit You know what I'm talking about? If you've ever seen horror, I mean, you could see it on the screen right now. But if you've ever seen horror movies, it's this weird, like ink, like a squid spraying. And I don't know where this came from. This isn't a bile that like human bodies produce, and if it is, it's definitely not one that should be expelled at such a massive quantity. Right? Anyway. He ends up getting away from her, rides the elevator up to the top, confronts his dad and the ringleader says, you can't just end it with them killing each other like some stupid rage virus. There has to be a twist. Something nobody sees coming. And in a twist that everybody sees coming, the dad shoots him. He fucking shoots him. I don't know what you thought was going to happen that wasn't that. Hopefully nothing, because that was the obvious move here. And then the dad has the balls to look at his dead body and say, didn't see that coming. Who didn't see that? I'm sorry, I'm not an angry person. I'm not going to get upset about this. It's a fucking movie. Okay, so Ringmaster's dead. Everyone else is dead. Sam's punching her way through an elevator. All that's left is Dax. Dax will not keep quiet about this plan, and it is up to his dad to see it through. But his dad can't. He can't kill his son. Despite the fact that he is a sociopathic monster. Damn it, he loves his son. So he does the altruistic thing. The only thing he can do. He's going to blow up the whole park. Killing all of them. It's the only way this could end. Oh, wait. No. He took a giant spike through the chest because, surprise, his sociopathic daughter didn't want to die. He falls through a giant mosaic window with the face of the devil on it and falls to his death. Because, why not? Right? I mean, shit. Why not at this point? The daughter doesn't care. They don't actually explain anything about his sister or why she's like this. She makes a joke about she might be psychotic and she might need help, but fuck if the movie's going to be bothered to actually explain anything. She's just like this. She wasn't even there when her mom got killed, so who knows what the hell her problem is. She doesn't like horror movies. So, fuck, I don't know what happened. She just kills him. And then she just leaves. Just Batman's out the open window and escapes into the rising sun, I guess. It's fucking weird. This movie doesn't really have an ending. She escapes out the window and they're left just standing there looking out at the rising sun and the aftermath of everything that's happened in the night. Which, by the way, is the third way. It's the most common horror movie ending ever. You weren't smart, Rooster Teeth. This wasn't new and groundbreaking. This was generic shit. So the credits roll, and there's a fun little after credits thing where they look back at Bloodfest, and they think to themselves, I wonder if everyone inside is dead. And it seems like it's a fun little setup for a possible Bloodfest 2. And then it explodes. Somehow the bombs underneath the park exploded, killing anyone who might have been alive, and the rest of Bloodfest. So, to quote the movie, fucking Bloodfest. So, now that we've stepped away from it, let me explain what I don't like about this movie. This movie tries to be smarter than it is. It's trying to be analytical and a parody of horror movies, but it doesn't do it well. It starts out so strong with really well written characters, and they're played well, And the Hodderton High with the arborist is fun, and it's funny, and it's good. Even the part with the zombies was neat. It was a little weird, but it was neat. It was just halfway through the film, when they hit Tortureville, everything falls apart. Like, the clowns that had been set up for so long are immediately discarded, just forgotten, and there's no payoff to that setup. The zombies show up for no reason, and yes, it's not like it's like, oh, they just show up again. There's a part in a scene where he sends the guy to fix the transmitter, and there's a part where they mention that the zombies have broken out of their area, and the guy's like, yeah, let him go, let's see what happens. But it's so dumb that this big moment, this payoff, is so painfully subverted, and it's supposed to be a wink and a nudge about like, you thought the clowns were going to be a thing, but here we are. I tricked you. I'm so smart. But it's just disappointing. I understand what they were going for with the dad. He was supposed to be the antithesis of his son. He was supposed to be the guy that blames horror movies for his wife's death and is taking vengeance on the people who enjoy them. But it doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense because he likes killing. He is himself contradictory to his own argument. And yes, a lot of heroes, or not heroes, sorry. Yes, a lot of villains are like that, but not so blatantly, and not when the whole crux of your third act relies on this character. And then the sister comes out of nowhere. When I first saw this film, I had literally forgotten she was in it until she came back. And then they don't do anything with her. She's not given a character. She's supposed to be like this quirky, happy psychopath like Brightwing or Harley Quinn, but she's not. She's just weird. Like a manic pixie dream girl who also kills people, I guess. And she doesn't have any real motivation. She doesn't believe in her dad's cause. She's just doing it because her dad wants her to. It was dumb. And the characters make dumb decisions. And it all starts at Tortureville. It's like someone took over halfway through the film and wanted to make a completely different movie. And their movie sucked. And I blame Mr. Leadfeet for being a stupid character. And more than that, I blame Crypt TV for fucking telling me this movie existed. So, that was my review of Bloodfest. It was a lot longer than it usually is, but I hope you got a lot more out of it. If this seems like something you might enjoy, even with everything I said, go check it out. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it illegally. It's out there. The first half is fun. It's great. It's A+. Good to watch. It falls apart in the second half. And it is irreparable, unsavable, dreck garbage. Let me know what you feel about these longer form kind of reviews, or if you want me to just stick to doing quick, short shots of them. I'm going to go find another movie. I'll see you next time.